From Phil Hellmuth shoving with top set only to walk into a straight.
3.
Hellmuth gets his policy bid rejected.
Well, I finally trapped somebody. It's just unbelievable. I waited all day and flopped top set, and he had 6-8.
Two ultimate surprises.
Well, he's moved all in and quickly called and let Roble turn up his hand first. 4 9s against 4 queen. Look at Timoshenko's face.
Look at Toby Lewis. Look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko.
Free drinks at a casino. And if you ever have to deal with any of these guys and other aggressors out there, you need to be prepared. So, in this video, we will share some simple but effective tips for exploiting aggressive opponents. 1. Phil Hellmuth, the aggressive trap artist who got trapped. Phil Hellmuth's reputation as the poker brat isn't built on quiet contemplation. It's forged through aggressive value betting and an almost supernatural ability to extract maximum chips from weaker hands. But sometimes, even the most experienced aggressive players can fall victim to their own tactics, as demonstrated in his epic clash with Phil Ivey that left him groaning about flopping top set and still losing his entire stack. The hand began innocuously with Hellmuth holding pocket 10s against Ivey's seemingly hopeless 6-8 offsuit.
I've done that. No wonder he wins in props. He's like on level 9.
All right, yes. Take a little flop.
When the flop delivered a dream scenario of 10-9-7, Hellmuth had flopped top set, while Ivey had somehow stumbled into a straight.
Hellmuth smooth calling with pocket 10s. Patrick does the same with pocket 4s, and Dwan joins the party with king-queen off.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
This is where Hellmuth's aggressive nature became both his weapon and his downfall. After Ivey's standard $8,000 bet, Hellmuth correctly called, believing he held the best hand, which in most parallel universes, he absolutely did.
A couple things over there in case you didn't notice. It's a triple.
Really seen the flop last time.
Forgot the 7. So 30 a man?
75. And
The turn brought an inconsequential card, and Ivey fired $23,000. Here's where Hellmuth's aggressive instincts kicked into overdrive. Instead of simply calling and controlling the pot size, he decided to go nuclear, shoving $80,300 into the middle. This was a declaration of war, designed to either end the hand immediately or extract maximum value from what he believed was a weaker hand.
Ivey fires $23,000.
I'm going to raise. I'm all in.
The cruel irony is that Hellmuth's hyper-aggressive approach worked exactly as intended. Ivey called instantly, having successfully induced the player with the losing hand to commit his entire stack. When both players revealed their cards, Hellmuth's reaction was priceless.
3.
Hellmuth gets his policy bid rejected.
Well, I finally trapped somebody. It's just unbelievable. I waited all day and flopped top set, and he had 6-8.
The key to defending against aggressive players like Hellmuth, and ironically what Hellmuth should have done in this spot, is recognizing when your strong hands benefit more from pot control than maximum aggression. Hellmuth's mistake wasn't having top set. It was assuming his opponent couldn't have anything better. When facing an aggressive player's bet on the turn, Hellmuth should have simply called the $23,000 instead of jamming. This play would have accomplished several things: kept the pot manageable, allowed him to reassess on the river, and prevented him from committing his entire stack with what was actually the second best hand. Against aggressive opponents, your monster hands often play better as bluff catchers than value bets. The brutal truth is that aggressive players thrive when you fight aggression with more aggression. They're comfortable in big pots and complex situations. That's their natural habitat. By playing more passively with strong hands, you force them to do the betting for you, which often means they'll bluff off their chips or value bet their second best hands into your monsters. If Helmuth had called the turn and Ivy bet the river, he could have made a much more informed decision with significantly less money at risk. Sometimes the most aggressive play is actually the most passive one, letting your opponent hang themselves with their own rope while you sit back and watch the show unfold. 2. Mike Matusow, the verbal aggressor who got outmaneuvered. Mike Matusow's brand of aggression is about psychological warfare, verbal jousting, and applying maximum pressure through sheer force of personality. His confrontation with Phil Ivey showcased exactly why this approach can backfire spectacularly. You encounter someone who refuses to be intimidated by noise and bluster. The hand began with Matusow holding pocket kings, a premium hand that deserves aggressive treatment. Ivey, meanwhile, was working with ace-4 suited, a hand most players would either fold or play very cautiously.
So Phil Ivey in the foreground right, and Mike Matusow, the two players left.
Now Ivey is out of position. He's got bottom pair with top kicker. He's a 4-1 dog here. Tough spot to be in.
After some pre-flop action, the pot swelled to $15,800, setting the stage for a post-flop battle between two contrasting styles. The flop of 4-6 Jack gave Ivey a weak pair and Matusow an overpair. Matusow's continuation bet was standard, and when Ivey called, the pot reached $37,800.
Pot is $37,800.
15,000.
Get a $15,000 bet from Matusow. Action back to Ivey.
The bet laying Phil 3-1 to call this bet.
The jack on the turn and 7 on the river created a board that looked relatively harmless. Exactly the kind of runout where pocket kings should be confident about their prospects. This is where Matusow's aggressive tendencies led him astray. After Ivey checked the river, Matusow fired $15,000, a reasonable bet size that should have extracted value from weaker hands. But Ivey, holding nothing but a pair of 4s and an ace kicker, decided to turn his bluff catcher into a bluff, raising to represent either a full house or the ace-high flush.
$37,800.
15,000.
Get a $15,000 bet from Matusow. Action back to Ivey.
The bet laying Phil 3-1 to call this bet. It's for it to be a profitable call. Well, he's decided.
52,000 total.
He's decided to re-raise.
The bet left $104,800 in the middle and put Matusow in an impossible situation. His verbal processing was painful to watch, acknowledging that folding would invite ridicule, contemplating the possibility that Ivey was bluffing, but ultimately making the disciplined fold despite holding a hand that was actually ahead.
It's for it to be a profitable call. Well, he's decided.
52,000 total.
He's decided to re-raise it.
Matusow's downfall wasn't his aggressive river bet. It was his failure to apply the fold or raise principle with his marginal holdings earlier in the hand. The key insight is that against aggressive players like Ivey, you need to make decisions before you've pot committed and emotionally invested.
And he
Just
throws
laid it
away.
down.
Oh my, he's going to be sick. And is Ivey going to show this?
I had the ace. I had the ace.
You can't have the ace of club, right?
I had 2 aces with the ace of club.
Fair with you. It's a good play. Whatever.
What did you have, the queen of club or something?
No.
And the best players in the game love to punish those thin value bettors, and that's Ivey doing it.
Matusow should have recognized that his pocket kings, while strong, weren't strong enough to withstand multiple streets of aggression on a board that heavily favored his opponent's range. When Ivey called the flop and the jack hit the turn, Matusow was facing a player known for his ability to manufacture pressure with both strong hands and complete air. The correct play might have been to check the turn and evaluate Ivey's response, or to bet smaller and fold to significant resistance. By betting $15,000 on the river, Matusow was essentially asking to be bluffed. He was betting an amount that looked like it wanted to be called, but not so much that it screamed strength. Against aggressive opponents, your medium strength hands need to avoid the middle ground. Either bet big for value and call off when raised, or check and call down to bluff catch. Matusow chose the worst possible line, betting medium and folding to aggression, which gave Ivey perfect information about his hand strength and allowed the bluff to succeed. The lesson here is that aggressive players exploit indecision and hesitation. When you show uncertainty through your bet sizing and subsequent actions, you're essentially painting a target on your back for players skilled in psychological manipulation. 3. Andrew Roble, the full house aggressor's nightmare. Andrew Roble's aggressive approach to strong hands represents everything that makes high-stakes poker both thrilling and terrifying. His catastrophic loss to Toby Lewis demonstrates what happens when aggressive instincts meet mathematical impossibilities, creating one of the most brutal coolers in televised poker history.
Folded around to Toby Lewis.
I'll get that.
On the button, he looks down at 2 queens, big hand.
On the button, it's a glorious time to get these big hands because people don't believe you there.
Oh, well, this could do it for Roble.
He's got sloppy chips. He's on tilt. This could be ugly.
The setup was already dramatic, with both players holding strong pocket pairs, Roble with 9s and Lewis with queens. But poker had a cruel twist in store. The flop delivered 2 queens and a 9, giving Roble what appeared to be an unbeatable full house, while Lewis quietly made quad queens.
I think the pot's going to be big. I just have that feeling.
All 3 players have pairs. That's something you don't see very often pre-flop.
Button in the blinds.
Oh! It's come queen, queen,
house.
9.
Oh, my God.
Goodbye, Andrew Roble.
From this moment, Roble was drawing dead, but his aggressive instincts were about to make the situation infinitely worse. Roble's $18,000 bet on the flop was perfectly standard aggressive play with a full house. Lewis's raise to $42,000 should have sent warning signals. When you're holding 9 full of queens, your mind doesn't naturally drift to, my opponent has quad queens. Roble's call demonstrated the confidence that makes aggressive players dangerous, and sometimes doomed.
Full house.
Playing it like...
Well, that's something I would never do in this spot to a pre-flop raiser. I'd let him take 1 stab to bluff at it. Now, obviously, Lewis is thinking he's died and gone to heaven here or something. He just can't believe
But he's
what's
also
happened.
thinking it's got to be a bluff or an ace-9. It just... So
you're just going to call. You're never
yeah,
going to
he's
raise
never going to
this
raise.
spot.
He's never raising this. I mean, it would just be a horrible play.
Until he's last man, last action, probably before he's going to get any bets in this pot.
Yep. And look at him.
Continue to throw the rope.
These guys are just incredible.
Well,
The turn brought a 5, and after Roble checked, Lewis fired $63,000. This was a massive bet that should have made any rational player pause and consider the possibility that they were facing something stronger than expected. But Roble committed to his aggressive approach and, unable to conceive of a hand that could beat his full house, called again.
well, I just can't believe he's betting this hand. In case your opponent's got a straight draw, why would you want to shut him out?
Robles is thinking Christmas time.
Then poker delivered its cruelest punchline. The river brought a 4th 9, giving Roble quad 9s, a hand so strong that folding becomes mathematically impossible.
Right.
Oh, my God.
That was sick.
Can you believe this?
Oh, my Lord. That
Quads
is so
over quads.
sick. I can't believe that.
It's kind of unfair.
Oh, my Lord. So now he's like,
Oh, my God.
he's like, wow, my opponent can't have queen 9. Hopefully he has queen 5, you know. Or
Well, Toby must be thinking, geez, what can this guy have to be calling with all this way?
One thing we know for sure.
His all-in for $149,000 was automatic, and his confident demeanor suggested he was already mentally spending his winnings. The look on his face when Lewis called and showed quad queens was pure devastation.
Well, he's moved all in and quickly called and let Roble turn up his hand first. 4 9s against 4 queens. Look at Timoshenko's face.
Look at Toby Lewis.
look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko. Look at Timoshenko.
That might be the most weirdly played hand in history of poker. One of them, certainly.
Poor.
You know, the whole crowd is just completely shocked.
Andrew Roble has left the building. Timoshenko's never
That
seen
says it all right there. Timoshenko's face.
Tragic irony of this hand is that the defense strategy, be more aggressive with draws, might have actually saved Roble money, had he been drawing instead of holding what he thought was a monster. The key insight is that against players who aren't afraid to commit their entire stacks with strong hands, your drawing hands need to fight back with aggression rather than passive hope. If Roble had been holding a draw on his flop instead of a full house, aggressive play might have allowed him to fold to Lewis's overwhelming pressure. When you're aggressive with your draws, you force opponents to define their ranges. Give yourself information about whether you're facing the nuts or something more beatable. Against aggressive opponents who are willing to stack off with very strong hands, you need to recognize when even your monsters might be second best. Roble's aggressive instincts were correct in theory, but catastrophic in practice, because he failed to recognize the narrow range of hands that would play this way. Being more aggressive with draws doesn't just mean betting and raising. It means using aggression as an information gathering tool that helps you make better decisions when facing serious heat. If Roble had been more aggressive earlier and faced the same resistance, he might have found a fold and saved his tournament life. 4. Phil Ivey, the master aggressor's rare defeat. Ivey's surgical precision and calculated aggression have made him one of the most feared players in poker history. But even masters occasionally meet their match, as demonstrated in his $1 million showdown with Tom DeWan that produced the largest televised pot in poker history at the time.
But gets to act last post-flop.
6-7 of hearts will open the pot. It's the hand that Tom DeWan has in front of him right now. Phil Ivey with an ace.
The hand began with Ivey holding ace-deuce of diamonds against DeWan's 6-7 of hearts. Hardly premium holdings. But in the hands of these masters, any two cards can become weapons. The flop brought a dramatic Jack 3-5 with 1 diamond, giving both players massive draws. Ivey had a wheel straight with a nut flush draw, while DeWan held an open-ended straight draw with his own flush possibilities.
Real close.
Well, Tom DeWan is going to call. We're going to see a flop. Jack 5-3. Both players pick up a gut shot.
Ivey's $35,000 bet was perfectly calibrated, large enough to build the pot, but not so large as to fold out draws or weaker hands. DeWan's call kept his range wide and set up what would become an epic confrontation. The turn brought the 4 of hearts. This is where the hand exploded into poker legend.
He's got enough gamble. He's capable of calling here.
Well, it's not just calling for a 4, you're calling to float as well. And
in position.
He can call to represent clubs. He can call to represent that he's got a pair of 5s, a jack.
Oh my gosh!
Ivey fired $90,000, a substantial bet that announced serious strength. Most players would call or fold here, but DeWan wasn't most players. His raise to $232,600 was a statement of intent. Either he was bluffing with complete air, or he had something genuinely monstrous. Sizing suggested the latter.
And the raise is $142,000 more. And this is where we're going to see how good is Phil Ivey. He's staring at DeWan's stack, trying to figure out where he's at.
258.
Can I have it all? Can I get all those chips?
I don't think Ivey can get away from this hand, but I'll tell you what, he is considered the best cash game player in the world. If anybody can get away, it's Phil Ivey.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know if Ivey wants to get away.
Ivey, holding what he believed was a straight with additional outs to a flush, couldn't resist the temptation to play for the massive pot. His all-in created a $1,108,500 prize pool and represented one of the most expensive decisions in poker history. When the cards were revealed, Ivey's straight was dominated by DeWan's super straight, and poker delivered another reminder that even legends bleed.
I'm all in.
And he's
all in! Oh my gosh.
Ivey is all in. DeWan calls with the nuts. Ivey cannot win this pot.
Wow. Good hand.
Oh my gosh.
The key to defending against masterful aggressors like Ivey, and ironically what Ivey should have considered in this spot, is recognizing that calling down wider doesn't mean calling everything. It means understanding that aggressive players often have wider ranges than their betting suggests, which makes medium-strength hands more valuable. Ivey's mistake wasn't making the straight. It was failing to recognize that DeWan's massive turn raise indicated a range heavily weighted toward hands that could beat a wheel straight. When facing that kind of aggression from a player of DeWan's caliber, even a made straight becomes a bluff catcher rather than a value hand. The correct play might have been to call DeWan's raise and reassess on the river. This approach would have saved hundreds of thousands if the river had bricked out, or allowed Ivey to make a more informed decision if DeWan had shoved. Against aggressive opponents, your decent hands need to focus on pot control rather than pot building.
That's no good.
We have just broken poker television history. 1.1 million in this pot.
And he's drawing dead.
It is the biggest pot in the history of televised poker. And it's going to Tom DeWan. He's got the nut straight.
We just saw poker history made right here tonight.
Calling down wider against aggressive players means recognizing that they're often bluffing or semi-bluffing with hands that can't withstand multiple streets of pressure. By calling instead of raising, you allow them to continue betting their bluffs while avoiding the catastrophic scenario of building a massive pot with the second best hand. 5. Igor Kurganov, the flush aggressor's fatal miscalculation. His mathematical approach to poker and calculated aggression make him one of the most successful tournament players of his generation. But his confrontation with Sam Trickett at the 2014 Aussie Millions demonstrates how even the most analytical minds can fall victim to the poker god's cruelest joke.
And he'll certainly be looking to do that again here today. Question isn't will he raise, question is how much.
Raise to 100,000.
This time it's a min raise, 100,000. So he's varying things up a
The
bit.
hand began with both players holding suited cards. Trickett with 5-6 of spades and Kurganov with 7-jack of spades. The flop of 2-3 of spades with a jack gave both players massive draws, but Kurganov's jack-high flush was already complete while Trickett was drawing to a straight flush with his gut shot and flush combo draw.
Call.
So Igor Kurganov's going to make the call with the jack-7 of spades. We'll see a flop.
Heads up to the flop.
Igor Kurganov's the first player to speak. 2-9-3 with 2 spades, so both players
Check.
have flopped the flush draw.
Kurganov's aggressive instincts were perfectly calibrated for the situation. His jack-high flush was a monster hand that deserved maximum value, and his betting reflected this confidence. The problem was that poker had delivered one of its most unlikely scenarios. His opponent was drawing to one of the few hands that could beat him.
So we'll see the turn card, and it's the 4 of spades. Wow, what a card. That has made Sam Trickett a straight flush. He is absolutely unbeatable in this hand. And Igor Kurganov has got a jack-high flush, so he'll think that he's unbeatable. Both players will think they've got the best hand. This will be very, very interesting to watch.
The turn brought the 4 of spades, completing Trickett's straight flush and creating a situation where Kurganov was drawing dead while holding what appeared to be an unbeatable hand. When Trickett raised to 160,000, Kurganov faced a decision that looked straightforward, but was actually impossible. Call with a great hand that happened to be worthless, or fold what appeared to be the nuts.
He's bet 160,000 behind a check from Igor. So Igor's trying to trap him here, thinking that he's got the best hand. Little does he know that Sam is unbeatable.
Kurganov's all-in was mathematically correct against any reasonable range, but poker doesn't always care about reasonable ranges. When Trickett called and revealed his straight flush, Kurganov experienced the unique agony of losing with a hand that beats nearly everything in poker.
All in, call.
All in, call.
Drawing dead. Oh my god.
All in, call. Sam says you're drawing dead and shows in the straight flush.
No mercy, Sam. Straight away, call, you're drawing dead.
I've seen this.
Poker. The most important lesson from this hand isn't about the specific betting decisions. Both players made reasonable choices given their holdings. Instead, the key insight involves protecting showdown information and understanding how aggressive patterns can be exploited over time. Kurganov's aggressive approach with strong hands was generally correct, but against observant opponents like Trickett, consistent patterns become exploitable. When you always bet aggressively with flushes and strong hands, opponents can begin to narrow your range and make more accurate decisions about when to apply pressure. The defense strategy, protect showdown information, means varying your play with similar holdings to prevent opponents from reading you like a book. Sometimes checking strong flushes, sometimes betting them small, sometimes betting them large. This approach makes you unpredictable and prevents opponents from making perfect decisions against you. Against players like Kurganov, who have clear patterns and tendencies, observant opponents can begin to exploit these leaks over time. While this specific hand was a cooler that couldn't be avoided, the broader principle of mixing up your play with strong hands prevents future disasters. The brutal reality is that protecting information is about long-term profitability. Every time you show down a hand after following a specific betting pattern, you're giving opponents data that can be used against you in future sessions. Undeniably, aggressive players aren't unbeatable monsters. They're skilled opponents with exploitable weaknesses hiding behind all that chip-slinging intimidation. Whether it's playing passively with strong hands against trap setters like Helmuth, making disciplined folds against verbal aggressors like Matasau, or protecting information against analytical players like Kurganov, the key is recognizing that fighting fire with fire usually just creates a bigger inferno. Master these defense strategies. You'll transform those terrifying, aggressive opponents into profitable targets who pay you off with their own weapons. And that's it. Now to you. Which of these players' tactics intrigued you the most and why? Comment down below, leave a like, and subscribe for more amazing videos like this one.